Believe it or not, I actually have a tiny little bit of experience with door-to-door sales, which is something that I don't think that I would ever do normally because I'm kind of like the person who doesn't like to interact with people, and door-to-door salesmen are the people who are forcibly interacting with people. Like they're forcing their way into people's lives without any welcome, without any invitation, without any whatever. It's like just something that I don't like doing. But for one reason or another, I did it sometime in my early 20s. So I'm going to tell you the story of how I became a door-to-door salesman. Now, it wasn't technically a salesman that I became. It was more door-to-door charity. So charity work is a little bit different than salesman. Salesman, you're trying to sell something. Charity, oh, I'm doing it's for a good cause, you know. Be gentle. I'm just doing it for a good cause. Anyways, this story begins in my early 20s. I took community college classes. And in the early days of my early 20s, I would take lots and lots and lots of classes. Like classes, fill up the entire day with classes in the early semesters. But then like later I was like, you know what? I don't really want to take classes anymore. But at the same time, I also didn't want to be removed from the system because getting back into the college system was a pain. You had to like write an essay about why you want to be in this college system. You had to like apply and you had to apply for all the student loans and all that. It's just not fun to do a big long process. And at the same time, you don't get the early access to classes because when you're already in the system of like a community college, you can go online and get early access like at least 10 days earlier than like the normal people, the first timers. So I didn't want to lose my early access privileges, but I also didn't want to like put too much effort into a college class. So I just took a look. And at this point, it was actually kind of late in the class applying time frame. So a lot of the, important classes were taken. The important classes, I like to think of it like there's three ranks of classes. There are the classes that are transferable. Those are the classes like biology or the certain math classes, certain classes that you can use and like transfer over to an actual college. And those classes are the ones that get taken first. They're the number one classes everyone goes after immediately. The second is the classes that are fun and that are interesting, right? You might want to take like a guitar class. You want to learn guitar. You might want to take like an art class to learn how to draw, a color theory class, a design class, a pottery class, something like that. Those classes get taken next, like pretty much. And then there's the third type, the type of class that no one really wants to take because it doesn't get you credit and it doesn't really do anything. And those were the classes that I was looking through. I was looking through like, you know, uh, beginning accounting or like, I don't know. There was just a bunch of really boring looking classes. So I chose the least boring looking class to me, and that was marketing. And I think it was actually called the Principles of Marketing. So I go to this Principles of Marketing class, and actually it's pretty interesting. Uh, I think on the first day of our first class, the teacher somehow got us Skyped on a Skype call with a bunch of students in like Hong Kong or something. We were the class and we were Skyping with the students in Hong Kong and we were like trying to talk about marketing and stuff. So it was actually kind of interesting and like we would in the classes we would often like look at like commercials for stuff and talk about what was good in the marketing. But then comes the class projects. Class projects, all right? And this is the part where I didn't realize that this was going to be a thing. One of the class projects that we had to do was we were split up into teams and we had to make money. We had to find a way to make money for this charity organization called the Tubman House, which I believe it's like a place for homeless people to go and stay and be able to live while they try to get a job or whatever. And we were supposed to somehow make money for this. And this all of a sudden, like, I am not a social person. I am not the kind of person who would want to do a project where I actually have to go deal with real people. This is actually, it's interesting. this marketing class, this class that not a lot of people wanted to take or that not a lot of people got into, was probably a more important class for real life than any of the like important like biology. What are you going to do with biology unless you're going to become a biologist? What are you going to do with math unless you become like an engineer or something? This is like this marketing class was actual real life stuff. No, I want you to go and actually make money. I want you to go and actually make money for charity. That's what you got to do for my projects. So, anyways, my team, I don't even know what we did. We just, I forget. The other team were doing something else, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to just try to, and you know what? Like, I wanted to, because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to make that much money. Because I'm not a social person. I'm not very good at getting stuff done. But I was going to do my best to show the teacher that I put in the effort to try and make money. So I went to like several different places to put like donation jars. Like I went to my little brothers and sisters' school. It was AM Win. It was a poor school, so I don't know why anyone. It's not a good idea to put a donation box in a really poor school. Like, there's no point. But anyways, I had to walk up to the principal, give him like a strong handshake, and say, "Oh yeah, I'm a student at Folsom Lake College. My sisters and my brothers they go to school here. I was just wondering if I could like put like a tip donation jar. You know, I'm actually doing this kind of last minute, and I just want to show that I kind of put in the effort." I don't know if I said that to him, but he was like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And so I made I got like a coffee tin and like wrapped it around with like paper and like wrote the Tubman house on it, and then I put it at the desk and like cut like a hole in it for inserting coins or cash or whatever, and put it at the desk of this place. And that donation box, that donation charity thing made all of 1 penny. That is how much money I made with that one. And then I also went to my church, which was weird. I was gonna ask, like, because I actually was an altar boy, and I had served mass like religiously every Tuesday and Wednesday, every single day for like years at this point. I was gonna ask the priest if he could maybe if I could leave like a charity tin in in the vestibule, and if he could like in the sermon maybe explain that explain if he could explain that there was this charity thing for the Tubman house and like whatever. And he was like, "No, I can't do that. There's very specific things I have to say in the sermon about," and that was like a revelation to me. Like he said, there was very specific things I have to say. The priest is kind of like the priest is kind of actually paid off to say certain things at the beginning of his sermon. I did not know that. I did not know that is a thing that happens in the Catholic Church. That the priest, yeah. I don't know if he's actually paid off, but he has specific things he has to say and specific organizations he has to talk about. And he has to go through like a series of whatever, that kind of thing. So like I gave up on that immediately. He said, "But you can go and sit down in the vestibule and meet and greet people, just have your little desk, set up your little tin, and then just explain to people what the charity." And I didn't want to do that. I wasn't a social person. This is like the reason that I wanted to do these tin things was because these tin things would show that I put in effort, but they weren't social. But I made nothing from these tin things. So then forward, you know what? Time is running out. I have made no money, so I decide, you know what? Screw it. I am going to go and do door-to-door sale. I'm going to go door-to-door asking people for money for this charity organization. So I drove like the car that I had access to over to this neighborhood called the Mather neighborhood where these giant houses exist and walked door-to-door trying to get money for this Tubman house thing. And like I remember, like, I said the same spiel to every single person. I said, "Oh, my name is blah, blah, blah. This is my name. And then I work at, I go to Folsom Lake College, and I'm trying to raise money for the Tubman House. It's a charity organization, blah, 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 blah." And, like, I would say that to a bunch of people. And I think, like, I made about, like, $80, I guess, doing door-to-door. And it was, like, some people gave checks. Some people gave, like, a dollar or two, and some people gave like a $10 bill, whatever. I was able to make about $80. But anyways, like some of the people that you run into in door-to-door sales, like they're interesting. And also, the process of door-to-door salesmanship is kind of like I thought about this for a little while after doing it. It's kind of like trick-or-treating. You know how when you go out trick-or-treating and like, except it's reversed. Like you go out trick-or-treating and like usually during Halloween, like 90% of the people you run into are going to be nice and they're going to give you candy and you can answer the door, they're going to have their lights on and you can get like tons of candy, right? Well, you flip that around. And so like 90% of the people when you go door-to-door salesmanshipping are going to be like, no, sorry, can't do that. Most people are going to be nice no's, but 90% of the people are going to be like, no, sorry, can't do that. And then like maybe like 10 to 5% of the people are going to actually give you something, are actually going to listen to you. And then maybe like 50% of those 10% of people are going to actually donate something for you. So anyways, there were a few interesting people that I ran into while doing this door-to-door salesman thing. The first one that I can remember was, so I had been doing the door-to-door for a while, going down all the streets, and like I was kind of eventually like I ran into a slew of people. Most people would just be like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I can't do that," you know, like he's polite or whatever. But there was this one guy who, like, I knocked on the door. "Hi, my name is blah blah blah, and I'm doing this blah 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 blah." And then like he immediately was like, "No sales, dumb," you know. That's not how it was. I can't explain this, but he was like the asshole. But I was not like at all hurt by this asshole, like by this guy. He was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." It was like he was trying to be cool. Like, "Oh no sales, stupid," and it was dumb, but it was funny. Man, I don't know. It was just amusing to me. And other interesting guy that I ran into, I knock on the door, and then this guy opens the door, and he's like half naked, wrapped in just a towel, and he's staring at me. And I still go through my spiel, like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Folsom Lake College. I'm trying to raise money for the Tubman House for a project, a marketing class, and I'm trying to do that, blah blah blah." And he was like, "No." And then he closed the door. And there was this one more guy. Like this was one more guy that I ran into that was also interesting. Um, so it was later into the night, so it was starting to get dark. So I was like starting to give up. I had made about 80 bucks at this point. So I knocked at this one last house or these last few houses. I knocked on this door and then like waited for like, you know, you wait for like about 5 minutes, not 5 minutes. You wait for about a minute or so. And if no one answers, you just walk away. So no one answered. I started walking away. And then as I heard from behind me that the door was opening, and then I walked back and saw that there was a guy there, and I was like, "Oh, hey, yeah, I'm from Folsom Lake College," and then like I see like in his hand he has like a pistol, and he looks like he's ready to shoot someone. He's like a panicked look on his face, and he's like looking around, and he's all like, and he's looking at me, and it's like. And I still say my spiel, my like, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to, you know, raise money for charity for the Tubman House or whatever." And then, and then he's like, "Well, you know, kid, it's kind of late. You should watch out." And then he closed the door. And so I think oh, so I made about $80 and I got a B. I got a B for making $80. And I guess my team didn't make that much either, but I was able to at least put some effort, you know. I was able to get some amount of money, and that was like a very awkward social experience for me. But whatever, I was able to make $80. And that, I guess, is the end. And this has been a 13 minutes and 44 seconds story, so that's pretty good, right? Anyways, yeah. I'll see you guys next time, I think. Goodbye.